My name is Ricky, and I have a problem. It's been less than a month since my last Corvette purchase, and my third within 1 year. Hello everyone, hope you're doing awesome today. So, big updates here since my last video. We have a new car here. Now, when I bought my black Corvette, I said this was unexpected, didn't really see this coming. This was one of the biggest impulse buys I've ever done. Obviously, like I said, I love the Corvettes, so I stuck with them. Now, this one is a little different though. Let's do a quick rock around, and I'll start it up of course, and we'll do a little drive video too, but let's just start with what it is. I sold my 2007 C6 Z51, and I got a 2010 Corvette Grand Sport. Now, this is by far the biggest differentiation from the other ones that I've bought so far, mechanically and aesthetically. Now, mechanically, we have an LS3, so it's a 6.2 liter instead of the 6.0 that I had before, and because it's a Grand Sport, what I really wanted, we have the wide body. Now, do a quick walk around of what we have here. So, the car is actually in Lama Blue, which is a super cool color. Right now, I'm in the shade because it's incredibly hot, but it has a really nice, bright blue shine to it, and then it darkens up in the shade. Now, what's really cool about this is, if you see a lot of other Grand Sports, especially in blue, you'll notice you don't see any in this. That's because they never offered Le Mans Blue for the Grand Sport. This is a special order car. It's the only Grand Sport in the entire world in this color as far as I know. So it's super cool. Do a quick walk around here. Do a quick a little plug to my buddies over at 5R Motorsports. They're the ones who did all the work on this car, and we're going to talk about the work in just a minute. Now over the back you can see a little spoiler over there. Big wide arches. And that's the main reason I was onto this car, was that wide body. The wide body looks so cool. Now, I said it's different mechanically as well as aesthetically. So aesthetically, we have that wide body, but we still have the coolness of having the removable roof, which I like. There's also one big difference versus the other two cars that I've had in the past. And here's where we get maybe a little bit of hate, but we'll see. If you look inside, it's an automatic. So this is the first automatic car I've owned since the 7 Series. So that's been a long time since I've had one. And this is the first automatic Corvette that I've had. I will talk later about it when I drive it. Let's just do a startup first. Yeah, it's straight pipe. So long tube headers, X-pipe, and an axle back gives us this great sound. Luckily this is actually warmed up too. So that was just a little walk around. Let's get this thing on the road and see what I think about it. Alright, so behind the wheel, new car. So just a little louder, to be honest. Anyways, so let's talk a little bit about how this happened, then I'll give you some more specifics on the car itself. So, like I said before, complete impulse buy. Now, the story goes, I just finished paying off my black Corvette, and as I've said before, I've loved that car. It was a great car, and I was looking into what to do, where to go from there. So, thinking heads and cams are kind of the next basically step where to go. At the same time, the car was higher in miles at 172,000 miles on it, so it was really high miles for a C6. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to go too extreme as far as the modifications. Then this car just showed up on my radar. I was just looking into it. I'm often looking at cars, just the prices of different things every now and then. And I was looking at Z06. I actually looked at a Z06, and it was a very cool car. But the owner, it was in an accident before, and the owner wanted a lot of money for it. So I thought, you know what, this is just too much to spend on a car. But unfortunately, what happened is I fell in love with the wide body. I really did. Now, I've always wanted a wide body C6 from the get-go, but they're just out of my price range. Then I looked at Z06s, like I said, and I ended up looking at Grand Sports as well, and I found this one. This happened to show up. And I was looking, I was like, well, I just paid my car off. It means no more payment. This is nice. But this car looks really appealing. And I never actually even
looked at the car, and you can tell the plates came all the way from California. So I saw it, talked to the owner, everything looked great, had it shipped right over. I couldn't say no. It was a great price point. These are really still desirable. The wide bodies are quite expensive still. And I had to have it. So went and purchased. Now my black car has been sold. I'm gonna make a video talking a little bit about selling versus trading in, or selling to a dealership, private party. Soon, I'll make that video soon, and I'll talk more about the black car at that point. But the black car is gone. This is the new one. So that's how this car basically came about. Now, differences here. So it's a 2010. So in 2008, they went to the LS3. So we have an LS3, because this is in 2008 they went to the LS3. This is 2010. So we have an LS3 here. More importantly, we have an automatic. And as I said, this is the first automatic car I've had in a while. How am I liking it so far? Well, as you can tell from the shifts, actually, I'm enjoying it. I was a little hesitant at first. When I first saw the car, looked at the pictures, and I saw this little gear stick there hanging out, I was disappointed. I saw and I just thought, oh no, why'd you have to do that? But I'll be honest, after driving it, I do enjoy it. I think it actually drives really nicely. Now this one does have the paddles on the steering wheel. It's forward to upshift and then pull back to downshift on either side. So it's I would prefer right up, left down. There's a way to kind of adjust and switch the models, so you can do that. I haven't done it yet, but it's possible. Now this car is a drive mode, and then there's a sport mode where the paddles get used. I've never driven the car anything other than sport mode with the paddles. If you use them, it works very well. I think the car is still nice to drive. It's not the same. It will not replace someone who loves to have a stick and loves to have a clutch. Yeah, there's a little missing out. There's something to be lost there. That being said, this still works very well. And I dated the car. I commuted quite a long distance. So for me, there's some times when I had my manual car, I was like, I wish this was automatic. Just a certain percentage. And so I will say for sometimes it's more convenient, it's more useful. Now, of course, speed. This is where we talk about manuals versus automatics. I made a video talking about why you should get an automatic conveniently just a little bit before I bought this one. And I also made one talk about why you should buy a manual. One of them is speed and efficiency. So with speed, this car shifts very, very quickly. Now, this car does have a tune on it, in addition to a quad air intake, long tube headers, X-pipe, and an SLP axle back. It does have a tune as well, where they tune the automatic a little bit more, and that definitely helps. Now, I will say there is a delay, and a lot of others have talked about this before, where overpass. Woo! Where there's a delay, not in the shift, if you look at the shift or hear the shift. It shifts very quickly, but there's a delay in pressing the paddle and actually the car recognizing it's time to shift. I haven't had any issue with it not downshifting when I want to, or not upshifting when I want to. If you get to a speed that's too low, it'll automatically downshift one gear for you, or two, depending how low you're getting. But I've never had issues as far as shifting responses, fifth, fourth, third, fourth. So it shifts very quickly, and there's an indicator on your head-up display, which is pretty sweet as well. But there is a bit of a delay if I'm driving, shift, press, shift. So there's a little bit of a delay there. So you basically have to anticipate your shift. So if you're at, let's say, 5,500 RPM, you want to shift at 6, you have to shift at about 55. And then when it gets to 6, allow you to complete the shift. It may not be that substantial, but there's a little bit of a delay there. So I will notice that. Now, I've only had the car for a couple of weeks so far. The second I got it, I went to the shop. Like I said, Fiber Motorsports. It's in Fort Myers. If you're in the area, I highly recommend them. They do great, fantastic work. Now, this car was also dynoed while I was there. It made 405 horsepower to the rear wheels on a Mustang dyno with an automatic. Generally, there's about a 25% drivetrain loss, so we're looking at a little over 500 horsepower to the crank, which is, for any of you Corvette guys, know as much as a C6 Z06 makes. So that kind of answers the why didn't you get a Z06 question. Well, yeah, I couldn't afford it, but also this makes as much power as those do anyways. Stock, that is. So for now, the car is going to stay pretty much the way it is, performance-wise. Like I said, I just finished paying off my other car, then I want to do more work. This car, the miles are lower, only 70,000 miles on the car. But I have to work on paying this thing off before we do heads, cams, Pro Charger, any of that kind of stuff. That's going to be later down the road. Now, aesthetically, it has the Heritage racing stripes, or not racing, but the Heritage stripes, little red stripes you see. And I thought of actually also adding on the white center stripe. So with this car being in the Le Mans blue with the red stripes and then a white stripe down the middle, it's very similar to the C4 Grand Sport, which I kind of thought would be cool paying tribute to. And as soon as I thought of that, the C7 Grand Sports came out and they had the same kind of commemorative stripes. So I thought, you know what, this would be really cool looking because it's pretty similar. So I think that's what I'm going to do aesthetically. We'll see. I gotta say, like I said before, the paddles I do enjoy. They're not the same, but they are similar. And as long as, for me, the main thing is having that control. If what they had when the C6s first came out, they had that 4-speed and there was no manual control there. That I don't like to have because there's sometimes when I may want to stay in a certain gear or maybe on upshift earlier or downshift earlier. So I do a lot of engine braking generally, so you'll see me downshift a gear or two. And if I didn't have that manual control, I couldn't do that. So for me, it was mostly the manual control. Now, like I said, it's also fast, which is cool and all, sure. But for me, it was mostly this car happened to be there. It was at a great price point. And other than that, it's everything I wanted. I love the color. Has the chrome wheels, which are cool. I would probably prefer them to be the cyber gray. Maybe we'll powder coat later on, we'll see. Other than that, it's a 3LT car, so very nicely loaded. Navigation as before, heads-up display. I love the heads-up display. And like I said, if you go in sport mode and then push the paddle, it puts in manual mode, and it actually has a gear indicator. So I'm in second, now first, second, third. I believe it's right, third gear. So that's kind of cool to have that. I like that shift indicator so you know what gear you're in as well. Overall, other than that, the car has been running fantastic so far. The LS3 feels great. Does it feel a lot different from the LS2? No. If anyone tells you they feel a difference, they're lying to you. It's really not that noticeable. It's a little more power, about 30 more horsepower stock, and about the same amount of torque. This car also did have the NPP exhaust system, which was that loud, mild to wild, they called it. So it had little valves in the exhaust. Like I said, I put the SLP axle back on there, as well as the TSP long tube headers, 1 7/8 inches, and the X-pipe. So the sound is exactly where it should be. That's just about it. I'm so excited for this car. To finish up, I'm going to do a quick roll on in 4th gear. I just passed the Mexican border, so let's go.